Hi there, YouTube. Went out and bought Wilson Combat custom tuned spring kit and Wilson Combat shock buffers for my 1911. So I thought I'd show you how to install these. I got a lot of rounds through my 1911. Mine's a Taurus BT 1911. I lost count a long time ago, but I've had the gun 6 years, probably 7 to 10,000 rounds. So I figured it's time to put a new spring kit in anyway. I wanted to upgrade to Wilson Combat. I picked these up at my local gun shop, or you can order them online, but paid $13.98 for the spring kit. I think these were $6 something. Yeah, $6.98 for the shock buffers, and that came with 6 of them, and I think they're supposed to last like 1,000 rounds a piece. So that's 6,000 rounds out of $7. That's not a bad deal. I've never used these shock buffers, so I'm interested to see if they actually do what they say they're supposed to do, which is lessen the recoil on your gun and also keep it from, or just the slide beating the crap out of it every time. So we'll see what happens with that. I figured for $7 they're worth a try. But I'll show you how to do the install. Spring kit actually came with 2 recoil springs, a 10-pound and an 18-pound. 18-pound being the one you want to use for all your factory loads, your self-defense, whatever. The 10 pounds for more like doing reloads or reman rounds that are a little bit lighter. I'm not going to use that. I only shoot factory loads. It also comes with a new mainspring and a new firing pin spring. As far as the recoil springs and the firing pin spring, they're a little bit longer than the stock springs, but that's okay. Just a little bit better, more tension on them. That's what you're going to have to deal with putting them in. We'll start with the recoil spring. We're going to say, if you don't know how to get your gun to this point, do not try this project. It's beyond you. You better go to a gunsmith. We'll remove the recoil spring plunger. I'm going to set that there. The guide rod. Set the old spring aside. We'll get out the new one. Main spring fell out of the package. Set that aside. Alright, now this is the 18-pounder. One I'm putting in. If you look against the old 10-pound, or excuse me, I don't even know what the stock spring was, but it's a little bit longer. The old stock spring. It's a little bit tighter in the flex too. But this stock spring, I don't know, it could be around the same gauge, but being so much older, I couldn't tell. Now, if you don't know this already, you should. On these recoil springs, if you got a closed end with an open end, the closed end goes on your guide rod. Now, to install these shock buffers, there's like a flat side with their little logo on it. That goes inside, and you slide it all the way down, and then put the spring on the guide rod. Obviously, you don't do that now. You do that when it's in the gun, but whatever. So you get the picture. What I'm actually going to do is I am not going to keep this shock buffer on here. I'm going shooting tomorrow. I'm going to take him to the range. I want to shoot it with just a new spring kit in it, and then I want to put the shock buffer on it so I can do a side-by-side comparison, see if that actually does anything or if I can feel a difference in it. I'll definitely have video shooting reviews of both the spring kit and the shock buffer, so look forward to that. They'll probably be up by Monday or Tuesday or so, depending on how busy I get. Anyway, I'm going to set that aside. Next step we're going to do is we're going to replace the firing pin spring. To replace the firing pin spring, this is a Series 80 1911, so there's this little button in here. What you got to do is take your punch, push that firing pin inside, or push the button and then push the firing pin inside. When it's all the way down, release the button, and the firing pin will stay up inside of there. The button, what that is just a safety block for in case you drop the gun, it won't go off. Alright, now just take your punch, and I've actually just had this firing pin stop off of here, so it's real nice and easy to pull off. It might go a little bit harder depending on how long it's been since you've taken yours off, or if ever. Just give it a little push and that firing pin stop will fall right out of there. Set that aside. I got a little metal tray here I'm putting them in. Alright, now put your finger over where the firing pin is going to be. Go ahead and press that button. My button's not pressing. I'm going to do is I'm going to push it on that firing pin just a little bit. Alright, there we go. Not sure if it just bound up in there or what the problem was. Alright, press the button again and the spring will fall out. There we go. Now the stock spring on this one is uniform, but I believe the new spring that we're putting in is not uniform. So set aside the old spring. I guess I'll bring it back real quick. Show you how the stock spring is that much longer than the new one, and so the new one's probably going to cause me a little bit of trouble going in, but we'll see. Set aside the stock spring. On the new one, we can see this on camera. That's the way it's supposed to go. It slips all the way up to the base of the firing pin without a problem. If I tried doing it on this side, it's too tight. So make sure you have that right. You don't want to stretch that end out or anything like that. Alright, now basically, put this back in. It's going to go back in the same way it came out. What I end up doing is my thumbs are pretty big to be pressing that button, so I'll press the button with a screwdriver here. I'll slide my firing pin in, and sometimes I can't get it in my hand. I'll use my punch. Alright, so firing pin is in there. Take the firing pin stop, install that back into place. Sorry, that probably didn't go on camera. He just slides that right back in there. Alright, and then press the button. Now your firing pin, see if I can get it in there, is back in the detent just how it's supposed to be. Well, now it is. Just how it's supposed to be. All I have in there is my firing pin stop slid down a little bit. Alright, so now that portion's over. Now we're going to get to the hard part of this whole project. And I will be right back to bring you the rest of it. Alright, now we're going to do the mainspring portion of this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a zip tie and zip tie the grip safety shut. What that does is, since I'm removing this mainspring housing, and make sure everything stays put up in here no matter what. You probably don't actually have to do this, but I do just to double check, make sure. You don't want to end up having to readjust everything. What we have here, I don't know if you've never done this before, this is the mainspring housing. You can put back up, I don't know if it'll focus or not. Anyway, there's a little cup in here and a spring that runs the length of that activates your actual hammer tension. So there's a little tiny pin up here on the side, right up there in the corner. You can kind of see it there. It comes through on the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp it to, use this board. The vise works pretty well for this, and I don't have one here. I work on my coffee table, so no real place to put a vise. But what I do is take a punch, take your center punch, push down on that plunger in there, and then give that pin just a little nudge, and it'll fall right out. That's all that pin is, just a nice tiny pin. So that's out. Put that in my magnet. Alright, pull spring, the plunger, and there's another plunger in here, or a pin in there too. Alright, so now that's all out of there. We'll remove the old one. This is an old uniform spring. I believe the new one's uniform too. It is. Put them side by side. The new one, I guess, is just a hair longer than the old one, maybe only by 1 coil. Sorry you couldn't see that right away. So, not a big difference here, but what we'll do, put this piece back in here, plunger in here, and what we're going to do is we're going to flip this mainspring housing over. I'm going to clamp it back up just like I had it before. Alright, now we got the mainspring housing clamped up. We're ready to put the new mainspring back in. I got this pin in here and the plunger in here, so we just slide it in there, pin first. Now all we need to do is take that little pin that holds it in there. Make sure you're holding it right, because this is a fitted pin. It's got a flat head on the end of it. Not sure you can tell that. Come back. Anyway, make sure you're holding it right. Then take your punch and push that. Okay, you gotta be very careful, otherwise you'll do what I just did. What happened is the clamp gave loose and it shifted and it shot the that plunger, I don't know, not too far, only about 8 feet. I've had them go a lot farther though before. So, like I said, take your punch and push that plunger and spring in there. Gotta get it down in there, and then drop that pin in, and you're all set. Okay, so now you just have to reassemble, which isn't too hard. Since we have this clamped off with that zip tie, everything should not have moved. So just slide your new mainspring back in there. And now this is going to be under tension, so what I've done before in the past is actually use my clamp, and I just come down on top of that mainspring housing and the top of the frame on the gun, and I match it up. And then we'll take the pin. I want to come in from this side and take the punch and something to hit the punch with. Alright, so now you have your custom tuned spring kit. What you're going to want to do before you go to the range, before you do anything else, we'll cut this zip tie off of here. Careful not to break my finish. We've got to do a safety check on here for functionality. So take the thumb safety off. Well, let's start with the thumb safety on. Pull the trigger. Nothing's happening. That's good. Take it off. Nothing's happening. That's really good. Alright, now where I expect it to happen, squeeze the grip safety. I'm going to hold it so I don't drop it. I dropped it anyway. Trying to talk to you guys, and everything seems to be working just fine. I can tell that hammer is a lot stronger than my old spring already, so that's good news. Alright, now I just have to reassemble your slide, and everything's done. And I'll show you how to do a functionality test on that in a second. Alright, got the slide put back on. I can tell already that that spring is far heavier. I'm getting a lot faster and tighter lockup than what I was before. So I'm expecting good things out of this. I really am. Tomorrow when I hit the range, I'll definitely do a shooting review for you guys. And on both the spring kit and the shock buffer. We'll test out the shock buffer, see if there's any noticeable difference when shooting. I'm going to be going with Evil Neil and Lionhearted 86. So check out their guys' channel. I'm sure we'll all have some shooting videos up by sometime next week or whenever, who knows. But I might even let them do a comparison test too, going from just the regular springs in here to the shock buffer, see if they notice a difference at all. Also, one last thing before we end this video. What I do after I do any kind of work like that on my gun, especially when you're messing with the firing pin spring and stuff, I take a pencil with an eraser end on it, shove it down your barrel, and go ahead and shoot it. And that worked. What that'll do is with that erase right up against that firing pin. When the hammer strikes, you know that it's working. So the only problem we could possibly have now is that it's not resetting, but that doesn't seem to be the problem. So alright YouTube, you have a great day.